Hey everybody, we are officially live for our second workshop of the fall semester. So excited to have you all here. So excited to dive in. If you are watching the recording of this, please feel free to fast forward by 4 minutes. We are going to get started in just 4 minutes. But yeah, so excited to dive in. If you are watching it live, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat section. But yeah, my colleague Tommy is going to send out an email right now. And yeah, we'll get going in just a moment. Perfect. You know, it's interesting. Going live is different. It's changed a little bit. So it's so interesting how these live links work. It used to be like it would just pull it up right there and be super easy. And sometimes you got to click around for it. But we're here now, and that's all that matters. So if you are watching, where are you tuning in from? Did you all have a good week? I just messaging Tommy that I just emailed him the link. So we're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. Getting my notes, pulling them over here. Did anybody do any hard physical feats recently? Has anybody gone on like a long hike or ran a marathon or I don't know, lifted any weight that was like their new personal best? Post it in the chat if you've done any physical feats recently that you were proud of. One thing I did over the summer, some friends of mine and I went to Portland and we hiked Mount Hood, and what was supposed to be just like a casual 5-mile hike, we were like, oh, we're strapping young men, we can veer off here. It'll only add 10 more miles, but it was 10 more miles of like 1,000 feet of elevation, and that was a rude awakening. We were like, our feet were like stumps. We were like, huh, 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 towards the end. It was so hard. Yeah, one of the harder hikes that I've done. But there's something about doing a really hard physical feat with other people that adversity almost brings you together. I don't know if y'all can relate or if y'all have ever done anything like that. But yeah, we're gonna get started in just a minute. I'll stop telling you about my silly hiking stories and all that fun stuff. I'm just confirming with Tommy that the message has been sent out. All right, it is officially 6 o'clock, but we only have 2 people watching. Let's just give it maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. I know it was my fault. I came on late today. Yeah, don't you love when meetings like back up and one meeting starts late and then the next meeting starts late and it just creates a spiral from there. But yeah, we're gonna get started. Maybe give it like 1 more minute before we get started and dive in. And by the way, this is recorded. So if y'all are coming in late or you're watching this and you want to rewatch the beginning, you're more than welcome to. I'm gonna wait till 6:01 Central Time, 7:01 Eastern, 4:01 on the Pacific. All righty, it's officially that time. Let's dive right in. So what we're going to talk about today is a few core key things here. We're going to talk about how to set proper expectations for mentor relationships. What is the best way to handle an issue with your mentees? Like if maybe they didn't show up on time, or if you felt like they didn't come as prepared as you would like, or maybe they had noise in the background and you felt like it was distracting, or they asked to reschedule on short notice. We're going to cover how to handle that. And then we're going to talk about how to help students with key issues they face on a regular basis, like finding balance and identifying a vision. By the way, at this juncture, we should have made all the mentor introductions have been made. If you have not been, well, we're still feeling all this out. So we're still reserving until tomorrow just to go through all the logistics. So if you're a mentor and you're like, I haven't heard from my mentee or I haven't been introduced yet, here's the thing. We've made the initial round of matches. Now, we also had an overwhelmingly awesome amount of alumni mentors sign up for the mentorship program, which is a great thing. But sometimes from our matching algorithm, not everyone gets paired. But if you're at these workshops, if you're keen on these sorts of things, what we do is we create a special repository. So then we put you at the top of the list for next semester. So if you're not a mentor this semester, if you weren't paired with a student this semester, we put you at the top of the list for next semester. So then we can really work to ensure that you are paired with a student for future semesters, because we know that you've created the time to be a mentor. We know you've allocated the time to be a mentor. We want to make sure that you get paired with a student to work with them through their challenges, be a mentor for them. This workshop will be about 10 to 15 minutes tonight, just to kind of give you a context. The first one was a little longer, it was about 30 minutes. This one's going to be only about 10 to 15 minutes, and the rest of the workshops are going to be about 10 to 15 minutes. And by the way, in terms of the agenda, the next workshop after this one is going to be on Thursday, November 2nd, same time. And then the last workshop is going to be on Thursday, November 16th, same time. So just wanted to just do a little housekeeping there. Let's dive in, see if we have more people. We do. Excellent. So let's start with the 3 keys to being successful as a mentor. I like to reiterate them because it's so powerful to just know strategy, story, state. So first, the most important key to being a good mentor and really being successful in anything that you do is being in the right state conducive for being successful. So physically, like, how are you doing? Like, are you coming in sad, mad, dejected, angry, frustrated? You know, have you had a long day? Are things going, you know, bad news coming your way? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, but ultimately we know that if we can block out the noise, if we can focus on the student that we're mentoring, we can do a really good job for them and really help them out. So one thing that I love to do, and I know we did it last time, but I love doing it because it's my favorite thing, is to get into a peak state. So what I want you to do is I want you to stand up, and for the next couple of seconds, I want you to shake it out, shimmy it loose. I want you to pound on your chest, get your legs going, get your arms going, get your head going, get it loose, shake it out, shake it going, beat on your chest like you're King Kong, and then on the count of 3, I want you to scream at the top of your lungs. 1, 2, 3, yeah! Let it out, let it loose, let it go. Get the blood flowing, get the endorphins moving, get it all moving and shaking. And by doing this, by getting yourself into a physical state conducive for being successful for a mentor relationship, you are going to come in intentional about this conversation. You're going to come in intentional about this relationship. You're going to come in with a devoted and focused energy so then you can be your best self for the person you are mentoring. And that's something that's so critical to being a great mentor. Second key is your story. What is the story you tell yourself for why you will or will not be successful? If you tell yourself a story that you won't be successful, you're going to manifest whatever outcome you create. But if you tell yourself a story like, hey, I'm a great mentor because I was able to do X, Y, and Z, because I was able to, or because I'm able to listen, because I'm able to be curious, because I'm able to ask great questions. These are things that if you come in with that intent, you're much more likely to manifest it. It's kind of like Michael Jordan, when he would come to like the end of a game, you know, it gets a 3, 2, 1, you're going to take a shot. He has envisioned this. He's mentally primed himself. He's literally created imagery in his brain that says that he's going to be successful, and here's how. That's what being a great mentor can be all about as well. What is the imagery that you tell yourself? What is the success story you tell yourself? What are like playing out even scenarios in your mind about why you will be successful? You're much more likely to actually be successful. It's crazy. That's how like one can manifest the outcomes they want, telling themselves stories for why they can be successful and envisioning how a positive interaction can go. You're much more likely to achieve success when you envision that positive outcome than when you don't envision that positive outcome. And then lastly is strategy. So what are the strategies you deploy as a mentor? Do you maybe make introductions for your student? Do you maybe connect them with friends of yours that might also have additional connections? Do you help them with their resume? Do you maybe do a mock interview with them? Do you maybe ask them questions to clarify exactly what they want to do? That's what the strategy is all about. But strategy is not the end all be all. I think sometimes we get caught up with strategy like, oh, we got to try different things to make it right. But it's like, is our state in the right place first, and is our story in the right place first? If those two things aren't in the right place to begin with, it's really hard to come up with great strategies to help a student out. So story, state, story, strategy to being successful. Any questions about anything? So, hey, Tammy, I'm not paired yet, just yet. Does that mean I'll be paired in the spring 2024? Yes, there's no guarantee. There's never a guarantee in anything, Tammy, but we do have a repository of mentors where we will actually store you. So if you're a mentor that signed up for the program this semester and you're like, darn it, I wasn't paired with the student. By the way, I want to be clear. It's got nothing to do with you. We have an assessment that you took, and based on your responses, we paired our mentors and students together based on the results from that assessment. We really do a good job of circulating, or we really try to do our best job of circulating. But if you're at these workshops, if you're actively engaged with the content that we have, we want to do our best to make sure that you're paired with a student for a future semester. So Tammy, if you're open to it for the spring of 2024 and you've got the availability and you're willing to be a mentor, we would love to have you. Like I said, I can't guarantee anything. So I never want to make a promise. It's always based on the number of students that we have signed up, but we can put you on a list of like, here's someone who's really active. Oh, you're even asking to have a mentor too. Tammy, we'll look into your situation and get back to you to check out where you're at with that. So my colleague Tommy, he's the one at support@ambitioninmotion.com. He can be the one that can help you with just those logistics as to getting paired with people and that sort of stuff. But I just want to be clear, if you sign up for the mentor program, you're at these workshops, and okay, fantastic. That's always great. Thanks for sharing that, Tammy. But yeah, if you weren't paired with the student, but you'd like to be paired, let us know. We will put you on a list, so then we make sure that you are paired with a student for future semesters. Like I said, it's all based on the students that sign up, but we want to be able to connect the most eager, active mentors with the students, because we know that you're going to do the best job, because you're engaged, you're here, you want to do your best job, and that's what we want to do and support you. Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Tammy. So one thing that we have heard, and this is something that happens, this is natural, these are students, but how to set proper expectations. The first call should be all about your mentee. Learn what is going on in their world, ask them questions. I'm a big fan of asking them to share their story with you, starting with kindergarten. So that's a fun tool I learned in a book, and I just thought it was great, because so often we say like, oh, tell us your story or tell us your career. And you only start with like, what have you done very recently? And that's your story. But there are so many other things that influenced who you are and how you got to where you're at today that we often neglect. And so with these students and with these professionals, these mentees, ask them, tell me your story starting with kindergarten. You might learn something about them that maybe they don't often share with other people. It's a cool way to get to know someone really quickly. I then like to ask them what their dream job is. By the way, when I say what your dream job is, sometimes students can be so rational or practical where they're like, I want to be an accountant, working for KPMG and earning this much money a year, and, work on this steady way to partner and then go off and retire. Like, that might be their dream job. And it very well could be. And there's nothing wrong with being an accountant at KPMG and working towards being a partner and retiring. But I love to challenge students to like dream big, because with the rate of technological adoption and change that's going on right now in the world, there are so many jobs that will exist 10 years from now that do not exist today. Therefore, we can dream big, even if the job doesn't exist right now. If we're mentally thinking about what jobs could be existing in the future and thinking about what we like to do and what we think would be really interesting and fascinating to us, we can put ourselves in a position to be like really ahead of the curve. So when I ask people what their dream job is, I really want them to dream. And if you don't feel like they're dreaming big enough, ask them to say, wave a magic. If you could wave a magic wand, what would that be? I just like to challenge students and get them thinking outside the box, because sometimes when we're in school, we can only be thinking like what's in this box and just only focus on that. And I think if we can open up that box and think outside of it, what we imagine could be real 5-10 years from now because of the rate of technological adoption and change. And then I like to ask, where would you like to be in 5 years? So that's where we can have more of like the rational, I like to be in this XYZ spot in 5 years. So once you've learned this information, ask them what they believe is one thing they can work on between now and your next call that'll help them get them closer to accomplishing their goals. So I like to ask them, where would you like to be in 5 years? I think sometimes students might think that's really far off, but in my experience, if we can get them started thinking about what are some actions they can start to do between now and maybe your next call in a few weeks, you might be able to start to crack something loose. You might be able to get them thinking and doing things that are a little bit different than what they've been acting like. I'm a big fan of the book Atomic Habits, and one of the core components of the book is that if we can take small habits every single day, we're much more likely to have really great gains in that area than if we just did a lot of things in a random kind of category. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if we can get students thinking about what their 5-year career goal is and then do something little every single day to getting to that outcome, they're much more likely to achieve or exceed that outcome. And by the way, as a great mentor, one thing you can do is write that down. Remember what that thing is that they want to do in 5 years, or that thing is that they want to do between now and your next call, and ask them like, hey, give me a status update. Were you able to do that? Why not? If not, that's okay. What is something else you can do to help you get there? So adjacent to setting proper expectations is handling issues. So if a student shows up late, if you felt that they didn't come prepared, if they had noise in the background that was distracting, or if they asked you to reschedule on short notice or anything that could have frustrated you, this is my suggestion on what you can do to still maximize the relationship. Because if you just come in like a bull in a china shop and say, hey, I'm a really busy professional, you got to respect my time. I've taken the time to mentor you and you showed up 15 minutes late or you rescheduled at the last second. Like if you do that, you're going to shut the relationship down. There's no relationship. Their student's going to be scared off. They're going to be frustrated. But I get it. There's also a product of how do we set proper expectations. So here's my suggestion on how to do that. So the first step, don't get mad at them and don't tell them what they did was wrong. That is the easiest way to lose the mentorship. So instead, go through the call. So let's say they show up 15 minutes late. Don't be frustrated. Don't be mad. Don't be angry. Keep a smile on your face. Keep an optimistic perspective. Go through the call like as if nothing happened and take the time to listen to them. Ask them questions. Really take the time to dig into their scenarios and be a good mentor to them. And by the end of the call, you say this: I really enjoyed this first call. Did you? And they're going to likely say, yeah, oh my gosh, this was awesome. You were so wise. You asked me such great questions. Really made me think about things differently. Ideally, that's the outcome that they say. And then you say, I feel like I can offer you a lot as your mentor, but for our future calls, there are some things that I would like from you. First, if we say we're going to start at 10 a.m., then let's start at 10 a.m. Can I count on you to be on time for our next meeting? By that point in time, you've built rapport with them. You've earned their respect. You've essentially helped show them what a mentor relationship can be like. Maybe they've never had a mentor relationship before. So maybe they're maybe a little skeptical of maybe the idea of having a mentor. And so maybe that's why they showed up late. But after having this first call and having a great relationship with you, maybe that's opened their eyes of like, oh my gosh, like I really need to take this seriously. I think let's try to put ourselves in their shoes and judge on intentions and not on our perceptions. By waiting to set the expectations after building rapport, you are significantly more likely to have a strong relationship with the student than if you got mad at them at the beginning of the conversation. So that is my suggestion on how to go about setting proper expectations. Meet with them like as if nothing happened, really dive in deep and be a good mentor to them. And then say, hey, did you enjoy this call? Yes, awesome. I enjoyed it too, but I like to, for our future calls, there's something I like from you. First, if we say we're going to meet at this time, or hey, if we set a date, we stick to it. Now, granted, I get it, things come up, but if you can give me at least 24 hours notice, that would be much appreciated. Whatever the scenario is, that's a great way to go about setting expectations. Any questions on that so far? I'm just looking in the chat. There's like a 20-second delay between the chat and the and my audio. Any questions about anything that I've shared so far? Alrighty, so next part of this workshop, let's talk about vision, how to find balance and vision. So what you're going to do, or rather, what oftentimes students struggle with is identifying a vision for themselves. So you know how I suggested asking you the question, like, what is your dream job and what do you want to do in the next 5 years? One thing that students really struggle with is getting to that vision. Sometimes it's so like, what's right in front of me right now, and it's easy to become myopic. Here are a set of 5 questions you can ask your mentee to help them set a vision for themselves and really broaden their perspective and look beyond the horizons as to what they can accomplish professionally. So question 1, if this situation were to work out in the best way possible, what would it be? I like asking that question because what that does is it helps students think about what is their best situation, what is the best outcome they could look for. If they could wave a magic wand, what would the best outcome be for their situation? It gets them really thinking beyond the horizons as to what is possible. 2, I like to ask, what is one thing that seems impossible, but with a little luck and a lot of work, just might be within reach? I like asking that question because what it does is it helps your student, it helps your mentee realize what's possible. Sometimes students and sometimes people in general can be beaten down by what they think is realistic. And I get the benefit of being realistic because we want to, not overstep our boundaries or set our sights on something that's too aspirational that maybe we don't end up achieving. But I like to push those boundaries. I like to get as close to pushing those boundaries as possible. And that's why I like to ask, what is one thing that seems impossible, but with a little luck and a lot of work just might be within reach? By asking that question, you can really get an idea as to where the student or where this mentee might be able to push their boundaries and get to the next level. Question number 3 I like to ask is, what will you commit to doing today, this week, and this month? It's a great question to ask because it gets some activity. Like, don't get me wrong. It's great to set these visions. It's great to set these plans, and it's great to set these aspirations. But without, I'm going to do this tomorrow. By the end of this week, I'm going to do this. And by the end of this month, I'm going to do this. Without that, it is just a dream. How can we go about making it a reality? Let's take some small, tangible steps. And this might take you a while. Like, this question might take you a while to come up with the answers with the student. But it's a great question to ask because it gets them thinking about something tangible. It gets them thinking about, what can I start doing now that's different? 4th question I like to ask, who do you know that thinks big? I love asking this question because it gives us a role model. It gives us a paradigm for who can be successful, who can be our role model of success. And then the 5th question I like to ask is, what in your life keeps you thinking small? So this could be maybe family, this could be friends, this could be professors, there could be other potentially influences in this mentee's life that's keeping them thinking small. How do we go about eradicating that, or at least minimizing that? We can't eradicate family, but we can ideally minimize their influence and help these students, help these mentees spend their time with people that are thinking big, because you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so if we can get these mentees spending time with people that are thinking big, they themselves are going to elevate their mentality. They're going to elevate their story. They're going to elevate their level and ability to achieve success. So those are the 5 questions I like to ask to help a student or help a mentee with vision. Any questions about those questions? Okay. Last part is balance. Sometimes students, when they're trying new things, or when they're taking new classes, or when there's new responsibilities on their plate, it can be tough to find balance. So there are 7 questions that I like to ask to help a mentee with achieving this balance. So question 1, what do you want to say yes to in your life? I like asking this question because it helps this mentee prioritize. It's sometimes feels like maybe you're putting out fires all the time and you're just bouncing from one thing to the next and you're not really in control. If you can be conscientiously aware of what you want to say yes to in your life, you are now at least setting an intent of, I want to be doing more of this thing and less of this thing, which leads to the next question, which is, what do you need to say no to? Not what do you want to say no to, what do you need to say no to? The reason why need is important is because we sometimes justify behaviors or activities because we've just been doing it for forever. But in reality, that isn't serving us. What do you need to say no to? Third question, when do you feel pulled off center? When do you feel misaligned? See, this question is great because it helps you get an idea as to when this mentee is most stressed out. 4, what contributes to this feeling? This might take a while for you to get an answer, but asking this question of what contributes to this feeling can really start to get you into an understanding as to what is causing this mentee to feel pulled off center. Question 5, when do you feel most grounded in life? This is a great question to ask, and it might take them a minute to come up with an answer, but that's where we can really kind of see when they hit their Zen moment of like when they're hitting flow and when they're really doing things that they really enjoy doing. Question 6, what in your life takes away from what might be possible for you? What this is going to do is it's going to really uncover some great, like really big things for this student, for this mentee, because what's going to happen is your mentee is going to look at this and be like, oh my gosh, like I spend all this time doing these things that are not serving me, and it's not allowing me to do these things which are building me up. By asking that question, you're helping them clarify this and create a clearer picture as to what they need to do to get balance. And then the 7th question I like to ask is, what in your life adds to who you are? It's a great question because it helps build you up as a person. Who or what adds to you as an individual human being? That's the question I like to ask because it really helps us get to the root of where people are going and what drives them, what makes them excited, what gets them up. And it might be, by the way, different than our expectations as a mentor, and that's okay. We're just here to ask the questions and clarify and better understand. So anyways, those are the key tips from our workshop this evening. Do y'all have any questions for me about anything at all? Like I said, our next workshop will be in a few weeks. Our next workshop will be on Thursday, November 2nd, same time, 6 p.m. Central. And then after that, our final workshop will be on Thursday, November 16th, same exact time, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. on the West Coast. These are all recorded, so you can watch the recording of this if you'd like to at a later date. Well, everybody, if y'all don't have any questions, I really appreciate y'all being here. We covered how to handle a student or a mentee that maybe did some things that frustrated us. We talked about what we can do to better understand our student, know where they're coming from in their story. We talked about what we can do to help a student achieve balance and identify their vision. I'm so grateful to have you all as a mentor this semester. And I'm so appreciative of you, and know that your impact as a mentor is huge. And like I said, if you weren't paired with a student this semester, we're going to put you on the list for next semester. Like I said, no guarantees, but I just want to let you know that we have a list. And if you're interested, if you're a leader within your organization or you're an aspiring leader, we actually have programs for you if you're interested in connecting with other aspiring leaders or other people who lead teams within your organization. So we've got an aspiring leaders mastermind group. We also have an executive mastermind group. If you're interested in any of that and getting involved in some of our other mentorship programs that are meant for people that are working within their careers and working up the ladder, let us know. We'd love to chat with you and see if there's some ways we can help connect you with other professionals that aspire for similar things as you. Anyways, thank you all for your time. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And if you are interested in any of those programs, like the Aspiring Leaders Mastermind Group or the Executive Mastermind Group, please email Tommy at support@ambitioninmotion.com. We can get you connected with our team and learn more about your situations. Carolina, that's awesome. Yeah, Carolina, please send an email to support@ambition-in-motion.com. And Tommy will connect you with our team, and we will set up a conversation to talk about our Aspiring Leaders Mastermind Group and our Executive Mastermind Group. Well, everybody, thanks for being here this evening. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I look forward to seeing you all in a few weeks.